I always wonder what made apartheid last from the moment of its inception, 1948, all the way through to the early 90s. Like, what made people take such a long time? What made people so silent, so slow to move, slow to act, slow to speak up for the people of South Africa? If you're not familiar with apartheid, that was a system of racial segregation in South Africa where the white minorities ruled over the black majority. But it was like the most racist regime you could possibly imagine. When you tried to speak up against it or protest, you were pushed back into the corner of worthlessness, and you're most likely missing and disappeared because you were arrested and then no one ever heard from you again. So the apartheid thing, the thing that makes me wonder why people were so silent for so long, why did so many people have to die? Well, one thing, the government was the gatekeeper of the information that was coming out of South Africa. You have to understand, the black people were so disempowered in that time. They did not have a lot. So when they used their voices to protest, that would quickly get shut down. And then the government would tell the foreign and the international parties that were concerned, they would just say, those are communist terrorists. Don't pay any attention. And the mistake a lot of people made is that instead of listening to the protesters, they listened to the apartheid governments, and that slowed them down a lot. They were like, we don't want to help communist terrorists. Like, what is that? It's none of our business. So a lot of people turned a blind eye because of that. Archbishop Desmond Tutu met personally with Ronald Reagan and with Margaret Thatcher, and both of them, while they were nice in those meetings and cordial, they ended up listening to the apartheid government because, again, they were hesitant to help communist terrorists because they were listening to the government that the people were protesting against. Fortunately, apartheid did eventually come to an end, but that was after over 4 decades? I wonder, how do people know that they're ending up on the right side of history? And how can we notice these patterns come up again? And how can we avoid the suppression and oppression of people at the hands of their government? I see the same thing happening with the Cuba situation, where a lot of people they're waiting for all the information to come out. They're like, well, the government says this and the third, and I was a tourist and I visited Cuba, so I know what's happening. But no, are you listening to the protesters themselves? What if I told you about the horrors of what happened in South Africa and how they parallel to what could possibly be happening to Cuban protesters right now for simply exercising freedom of speech? Well, in South Africa, people went missing and people were arrested. I'm talking about Black Africans, Native Africans who were just looking for dignity in their own homeland, for the right to vote, for the right to have a voice. There's this one guy, for example. Police got him, they drugged his coffee, and then they proceeded to shoot him in the head. After that, they took his body, burnt it, and waited a very long time while it was burning because his thighs were taking a long time to burn, and had a barbecue on the side while his body was burning, and then proceeded to throw his ashes in a nearby river. I mean, that's just one of many stories of what happened to people who disappeared as a result of simply speaking out against their government and having the resilience and the boldness to do that. Now in Cuba, we have over 800 people either detained or missing. And we can't just wait to hopefully hear good news that they're free again. These people could be going through the most horrendous nightmares you could possibly imagine simply because they stood up against a tyrannical government. We just heard news from Gabriela, who had been missing. She said that while she was in custody, she was forced to strip naked, but not only that, again, she was arrested for no reason other than being among the people who were protesting. But then they told her this. They said, you have to snitch on whoever you saw who was also protesting, or we're gonna bring 2 very huge men from the sex house, and insinuated that they would probably rape her. But that was just one story. We have a lot of people missing now for they didn't do anything. They're simply protesting. And all they're asking for is for us to amplify their message, because it's like being trapped in a physically abusive, narcissistic relationship on an island. Like there's nothing else you can do except scream for help. It's like being on a raft in the middle of the ocean. You see a ship passing by, all you can do is scream for help. SOS, help us. And imagine you see that ship and that ship sees you, but then the ship just keeps on sailing in the night. This is exactly what's happening. And I can't imagine what people are going through in custody right now, who are incarcerated wrongfully so. They've shut down the internet, and so these authorities think that they can do these things in darkness and torture these people in darkness. Lord knows what else. And so I beg you, this Sunday, August 1st, 2021, at 8:15 a.m., Pershing Square in downtown LA, please come and join me and many other people as we amplify the voices of the Cuban people at this time, who are simply asking for freedom in a situation that is so unique that literally the only thing that we know to do right now is to amplify their voices, because the government does not want what's happening on the ground coming out to the rest of the world. So let's just consider our history. Let's consider all the times where conformity never served anyone. Let's dare to be bold and speak out and be loud for people whose voices are being stamped out right this very second. Join me there, August 1st, and I hope we'll be on the right side of history this time. All right, I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.